Hi friends, today we are going to learn about orchestrator pattern and choreography pattern. This is a series on design patterns which has been taken from Microsoft architecture patterns given on the Microsoft website. Let's see what is an orchestrator pattern. So let's say you have to design a service or you have a service with complex business logic and it wants to do lot of things. It wants to do a lot of things and a lot of things are done. So one way of doing is you can put all this logic in a single application and we can call it as a service and it can run perfectly. Now this is called monolith architecture. Monolith architecture, in which you are keeping all the things in a single place and all the logic has been defined in a single service. And when any change comes, then you will, for example, if there's a change here, so what you're going to do is you are going to make some changes here like this. So this is basically representation, pictorial representation of the changes. And if some other changes come, then you have to do this and then you have to make changes. So as and when changes comes, it is going to increase the complexity of your architecture, not architecture, but your code complexity. So, and also it is going to slow down your development. So I'm not going to go into the pros and cons of a monolith architecture, but what we do is we break this logic into multiple microservices. For example, for all these things, what we do is for each and every business logic which can be made into a separate entity, we create different entities or different services which handle a particular piece of business logic, and they can be basically, these services can be stitched together to create a workflow for your business. So one of the ways in which we can harness powers of this service is to having a single service which can basically work with all the services. For example, we have three things that we want to do. So what we're going to do is, for example, if you are creating any food order, what are the different three, for example, for a food order, what are different things what you want to do is check with restaurants. Okay, what you're going to do is next, check menu or fetch menu, and then you are going to place order, and then you're going to take payment. You can basically keep all these things in a single repo like monolith, but we're going to make them into separate units. So like this, we are going to do, this is A, B, C, and D. So you have basically divided your service into multiple services, and this is the orchestrator service. This is called the orchestrator service, which is basically interacting with all the services and creating a single workflow for creating an order on your food service. So this is called orchestrator pattern, in which a single service is orchestrating your workflow. Now there are pros and cons to everything. Similarly, the pros and cons in this scenario is your orchestrator service. This is the orchestrator service, which is interacting with all the downstream services, is going to create a bottleneck in your system because it is a single point of failure. Though it will have different components, but any change in this system must go through here. Any change has to come here, and though you can have different business logics in the periphery, but any integration has to be done here. Also, if we want to remove any particular components, let's say we want to remove this component, what we have to do is we have to come up with something, or we have to make extensive changes for handling that in the orchestrator service. So what are the alternatives to this orchestrator service pattern? It is a good pattern. I'm not saying it is a bad pattern, but there are other service patterns also which you can use for this scenario. So another pattern is choreography pattern. So instead of having a single request, one of the ways of implementing a choreography pattern is you have a queue, and instead of having a request come to your queue, the request will be basically sent to a messaging queue. For example, there can be a single service which is creating the orders. For example, this is the first service, and what it is doing is it is doing its work, then it is pushing the message in the message queue. Then another queue is listening to this, another service is listening to this queue, it is doing its work, it is pushing into another queue, and like this. But it is not a one-way communication, because if there are multiple teams that want to listen, for example, for order creation, let's say your food order has been created. So during order creation, one way is you are basically calling an API to the notification team, to send the SMS and email. You are calling the restaurants. You are calling a service which is interacting with the restaurant providers to basically inform that their order has been created. You are interacting with the logistics team to basically make them assign courier partners, or basically to make them assign delivery boys or delivery executives to deliver that order. So you are interacting with them one by one, and this is a choreographer pattern. Sorry, this is orchestrator pattern where this service is interacting. So another approach to this would be, when a pool order has been created, it is published in a messaging queue. This is a message queue, and different teams are going to listen on this queue. For example, notification team is going to listen on this queue. Restaurant team is going to listen on this queue, and logistics team is going to listen on this queue. And for example, if no one is consuming anything from the notification team, we're not going to do anything. For example, if restaurant has been assigned, or we get updates from the restaurants, then we can either push these messages in the same queue, or we can push these messages in a different queue, and any team that wants to listen to this message, or any service that wants to listen to this message, can listen from it. So if we want to send updates from restaurants to the customer, then notification team can listen on this. Notification team can listen on this and send notification for updates from restaurants as well. So these are basically food creation orders, and these are basically restaurant updates for your orders. And similarly, when logistics order has been created, logistics teams would interact with the different delivery executives to find availability of whoever wants to deliver the order. And when a delivery person has been assigned, it can publish the message either in the same queue, or it can publish the message in a different queue. And similarly, notify can also read from this queue, and restaurants can also read from this queue, and they can take action on this. So here we can see that all the systems are decoupled. They're not dependent on one another. They have sufficient buffering in place. So if any system is overwhelmed, it can basically read from the queue at the speed at which it can consume. Whereas in the previous example, if there are a lot of orders on the order system, they are going to be synchronously sent to the different teams, and if the orders are number of orders are large, it can overwhelm the different teams, and it can basically choke their systems because they don't have a way to back pressure the system. They don't have any buff in this system. We don't have any buffering system, though it can be uh, devised or it can be created somehow, but generally we don't see a buffering system in this. But here these queues act as buffers where every system can read according to its own speed, and this is how choreography is done. This is called choreography pattern. Choreography pattern, and we are basically choreographing the dance of different services with each other. There are drawbacks to everything. Similarly, there are drawbacks to choreography pattern as well. So, for example, when this system grows, it is going to create a mess, because as the number of services increase, the type of interactions that happen between these services can get very complex to understand. First thing. Second thing, it is okay or it runs fine when the dependence on systems is not cyclic, or rather when there is no multi-dependence between the systems. For example, let's say there is a scenario in which you have a service. This is food creation, and this is basically courier assigned. Not courier, but basically delivery boy assignment queue. And there is some other queue, some other service which wants to read messages from both of these queues and take action. Basically, it wants to take action on events of food assignment when both food assignment and delivery boy assignment has been done. So if it wants to have dependence on these two queues, for example, for an order for which food has been created and delivery boy has been assigned, and it wants to take action on this these two things, then this service has to write its own logic, because there is no central service which is orchestrating the interaction between different services. So this service has to implement its own orchestration so that it can handle multi-dependence on the messages. For example, right. Let's see how choreography pattern can be utilized in cloud architectures. We are seeing that in orchestration system, we are sending traffic. This is orchestration system. Central service is handling interaction between different services, but in cloud service or in choreography pattern, different microservices are independently working on their incoming traffic. So what we can do is we can easily run them in serverless architecture. So for example, if a message is published in this queue, then and only then this Lambda or this serverless compute will be launched. It will consume from this message and it will publish this message in this queue and it will go down. Similarly, when a message is published here, this Lambda or serverless function is going to run. It is going to consume this message and then it is going to produce in this, and it is going to go down. Similarly, this is going to be closed. So it can basically easily handle choreography pattern can be easily handled in serverless architectures as well as server architectures. Let's see what are the different downsides of this pattern. Everything has downside. What are the different downsides of this pattern? So for example, during processing, so this is the flow. Message queue, service 1, service 2, is published in message MQ2, MQ3, and basically reading So in this way, what is happening is when service 1 is doing its work, it is publishing the message in MQ1 or Q1, and then service 2 is consuming the message from here. And if service 2 is not able to process any message, this is going to be pushed in a dead letter queue for this MQ message queue. Similarly, when service 2 is able to process the message, it is going to send the response in the MQ2, and then service 3 is going to read from MQ2, then it is going to send the message to MQ3. What is going to happen when a particular message is not processed? So for example, during this step, this service goes down. How is all of the system going to handle failure of this service? So you can basically, what you can do is you can so for example, if in this case when service 2 is not able to process the request, we may have to revert the operation that was done by service 1. So in this case, you may have to write in another system which reads on dead letter queue of service 1 and takes a compensating transaction for service 1. So I am writing this as service 1 complement. So it is doing reverse operation of service 1. Whatever operation did service 1 take, it is going to reverse that operation and then push that in another message queue. So as you can see, handling failures, handling retries in this system is going to make this system extra complex, because you have to write another service. Similarly, if service 3 is not able to take the request, what you have to do is you have to write another system, service 2 complement, which is basically undoing the work that was done by service 2. Then it is going to undo the work done by service 1, and then it is going to publish that in MQ, right? Or rather, what you can do is, once the work of service 2 has been undone or complemented, you can push that message in dead letter queue for this MQ1. Then this dead letter queue is going to handle revert of service 1's operation, and then it is going to be processed. So you can see that handling failures is very complex, and when this system becomes more and more complex, the different intricacies of handling failures, handling retries, making your system resilient is going to be more and more difficult. In the choreography pattern, making your service resilient was limited to making your orchestrator resilient. All the handling, failure handling was being done at a single point. So it was not as complex as it becomes in distributed choreography pattern. So each of the design patterns that we have seen till now, or whatever that we are going to study in later stages, has its pros and cons. So you have to take an intelligent decision, an informed decision to select the pattern or service type that you're going to create for your production systems. I hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know in your comments whatever views you have on this pattern. Thank you and have a nice day.